You are listening to Game Night. I am your host, Layla.
And I'm your co-host, Ray.
And here we cover the latest gaming news, topics, and trends. Today, we've got AI literally deciding who to kill first in games now. Thanks, NVIDIA.
Don't look at me. I don't need more of the attention. I already get enough threat with the taunts. Anyway, on this episode, we're going to be talking about procedural content generation and AI-driven NPCs. If you're unsure of exactly what that means, it's okay. We'll break it down for you. It's not too complicated. All you really need to know is that the basic idea is content that builds itself for worlds, quests, and behavior versus the more common examples that we see in today's gaming market.
Some very famous examples you might know would be Minecraft, No Man's Sky, and these are built on algorithmic PCG, not AI. Difference between this is that these games use predefined rules. It's not really intelligent learning.
So what exactly does that mean? Let's get a little bit of a breakdown into that. So let's say you're setting up a procedural content generation for a game like Minecraft. If you've ever played any game, especially roguelikes, you've probably seen this. They have seeds, for instance, where they will seed a specific type of world that will then be used to generate content for you to engage with. That's the difference. A real AI does not need that in order to generate this content.
To highlight the differences, algorithmic PCG versus AI-driven PCG. Algorithmic PCG is pretty fast, cheap, but static. It's not necessarily adaptive. AI-driven PCG, on the other hand, this is something that it learns, adapts, and creates smarter content. A real quick clarification, what AI gaming isn't. We're not talking about, the old school scripted enemy paths or basic behavior trees. That's not true AI. That's static, like we just established, right?
Not Bethesda's Radiant AI. Not that.
Exactly. We're talking about systems that learn and adapt and generate new quests, new worlds, new interactions. This can also extend to NPC behavior. Without a dev hard coding every outcome. Common misconceptions is it's not just smarter pathfinding. It's not just difficulty scaling. And it's not the illusion of choice through preset dialogue trees. It's not pre-generated random maps. Those are algorithmic, not intelligent. Generative AI in gaming, you have AI that creates environments, textures, and even game rules. And Minecraft and No Man's Sky didn't use AI, but they feel endless. Now, imagine if those games watched you and built stuff based on your behavior. That's kind of where this is heading.
I'm imagining right now a system like an RPG, for instance, where your skill tree changes based on your play styles to fit your habits or what have you.
It's wild, isn't it? It's a system that evolves with the player. And if you can imagine for a moment, let's go back to Skyrim and imagine those NPCs, their behavior changing based on what you do.
But Layla, it already does change based on what I do. They hate me because I stole something from them.
But that's scripted.
Exactly. And that's the major concept that's I think we're really trying to hammer home here. The reason that it's being brought up so often, I think it's important to say, is that this does get misused a lot. It's not just a commercialization of AI has already caused a lot of misconceptions into exactly what it is. So
absolutely.
If it sounds like we're flogging a dead horse here, I promise there's a reason. It's fascinating how often, just in the past, what would you say, like 6 to 8 months, you and I both have had multiple conversations talking about exactly how this keeps happening. It keeps getting misrepresented. It keeps getting mislabeled. Yeah. It keeps getting misused. Yeah. Now,
well, and it doesn't help as well when you have businesses that are marketing that, we've added AI, and it's something very small, something very simple.
Yes, the one that I loved, you sent me a picture of, you probably already know what I'm gonna say, was the company's, we've implemented AI into our latest product, and it's a bar of soap with a like pump spout on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it already does the thing that I needed to do. I don't need you to change it just to make it do the same thing. Looking at you, Google.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about numbers for a second, we looked at average dev costs and return on investment between standard algorithmic PCG, like what Minecraft and No Man's Sky use, and AI-driven PCG. Algorithmic costs around $2 million to build and maintain, and about $200K a year. Those games can pull a 7.5 time return on investment, bringing in around 15 million. However, AI-driven PCG, that'll run you higher, about 3.5 million to build and about 350K to keep it running. But you're looking at a 22 million margin and a 6.29 times return on investment. So yeah, it's more expensive, but that AI content keeps players engaged way longer. So essentially, more dynamic content, more player retention, more replay value, the kind of replay value that you normally get out of modding, which we covered last episode.
Right.
That's not just hype, it's profit.
Speaking of modding, how would this, Layla, for instance, help with personalizing your game worlds?
So highlighting the idea of personalized game worlds based on playstyle, what's fascinating about this whole concept is that AI literally reads your playstyle patterns, your decisions, the way you strategize and problem solve. As it reads and learns those patterns, it begins its own problem solving process on how to create a challenge outside of your usual problem solving pattern.
So in layman's terms, you're saying basically you could have a game where meta changes basically on the fly. There wouldn't be needs for updates because the AI could actively adapt to whatever the common course of action is in an encounter, for instance, and change up its strategies to meet the challenge that it's being offered by the players themselves.
Yeah, exactly. For in the case of, like, let's say a raid boss from World of Warcraft, strategy is always static. It's always, here's an AoE, here's a large blow, dodge that, etc. But in this case, if you have an AI driving that system, now all of a sudden this starts to happen out of order. To surprise you, it begins to learn that player is a little bit too effective. Let's focus on that player. Changes the gameplay dramatically.
Indeed.
When we're talking about this, we're looking at no player experience is ever the same. It's true that we do have games that it's very hard for players to get the same outcome. But in this particular context, because the AI is reading patterns and customizing towards that player, we're talking about content that's never been seen before, generated live or in response to real-time player data. And so tools that do this are your GANs. If you don't know what that is, it's Generative Adversarial Network. And I think one of the most common implementations of this has been an image generation. A lot of people, their minds are probably going to go to like OpenAI. OpenAI does not use that. They use Stable Diffusion. It's different. I'm not going to go into detail of the differences between that right now.
Suffice to say, there are differences.
So, Generative Adversarial Network. How that works, one AI generates, one critiques. That's how it works. It's used in games, worlds, textures, enemy patterns. The limitations of this, however, is training instability, balancing the generator and discriminator models, the high performance cost, high computational needs for real-time applications, a lack of precision and control, the difficulty in guiding GANs to generate specific content. And then there's bias and overfitting, data limitations leading to biased or repetitive outputs. The integration difficulty, additional complexity in incorporating GANs into existing game engines. Essentially, what we're saying is that it's great for offline content, not quite ready for real time yet. So when we're talking about the direction of this, we're looking at, I believe, Dre had Project Z.
Oh, yeah. We were doing something? Hang on. Let me get my hat. The Ready or Not team, what they were essentially doing was running their game at an insanely high speed. I mean, blink and you'll miss it kind of speed, right? But it's playing out multiple different scenarios and actions that they expect players would perceive as options to deal with the maps that they're playing through, the challenges that they're meeting, the threats that they're facing. If you don't know Ready or Not, it's basically, if you've ever heard of SWAT or Rainbow Six, it's the same thing. That's all you really need to know. But what they're doing is running a AI through these scenarios to see how their artificial intelligence that they've created for the game would actually react to player actions that they've I suppose scripted out through like a auto hotkey essentially, but it's being played out at ridiculous speeds. When I say blink and you'll miss it, it really is. Layla, I believe you've watched it. If you blink, you will miss it. It's so fast.
Yeah.
But this exact system is being used to train their NPCs. Really, it's not AI, but we're going to use the word virtual intelligence here just to make the clear distinction. I think that's fair.
Absolutely.
So that they can see how their VI is going to react to these systems. Now, while this isn't necessarily AI in the scenario we're speaking of, this is a possible future for artificial intelligence. People wouldn't need to sit here doing this. The AI could do this and run scenarios so that it could preemptively try to create a bigger challenge for players who are more or less skilled.
Again, this goes back to just really having dev time, right? Because when we look at the workflow for this kind of thing, especially for game developers, it's not a short amount of time. We're talking like hours and hours and hours of development that goes into this. So if you have something like this that can, really shave down the time, that is really invaluable. I'm sure every game dev, every game company can relate when they are just pressured by players that are like, when is it being released? When is it being released? We see it, we hear it.
When it's ready.
It comes with right, exactly. It comes with virtually every game. And so, with something like this, now you can shave that dev time off, but not sloppily, with precision. You will not sacrifice that precision.
You're using a laser, not a chainsaw.
Exactly. If no one's heard of it, the most recent thing that NVIDIA had developed, they developed an AI boss that changes on the fly. And that's the direction that we are going in. NVIDIA's AI boss studies the player behavior and chooses who will attack first. It's one thing for an NPC to follow a script, but what happens when it watches you, learns your playstyle, goes full predator mode? And that's essentially what NVIDIA created.
Protect your healers. That's what we're saying.
You say that and they're not going to.
No, they're not. I can dream.
I played a healer long enough.
I played a tank long enough to scream at them internally whenever I see them doing it.
I feel like it's sort of the lifespan of a healer. You play a healer long enough to go DPS, and then that's it.
Yep, and then you never go back. You already know what's gonna happen, and then all the healers love you. And people have to wonder why. I know.
But looking at AI-driven NPC behavior, we're looking at, as we said, adaptive enemies. NPCs adapting to player strategies, making gameplay feel more intelligent, emotion-driven reactions. NPCs can simulate complex behaviors like fear or decision-making based on the environment. Imagine when that scripted NPC now suddenly reacts to what you're doing, right?
Let's just hope it doesn't look like LA Noire when they were messing with the face mapping. Can you imagine?
Then we have context-aware dialogue, where AI allows NPCs to respond meaningfully to player actions, creating more immersive conversations. And we already know where a lot of players will take this. A lot of them will go straight to flirting with NPCs. You know it, I know it. It's just, I don't know.
I can't wait for the hard shutdowns that all the nerds are going to be crying about online.
Emergent group behavior, squad tactics. This one's scary. NPCs exhibiting complex behaviors arising from simple rules, adding depth to their actions.
Look, as long as I can counter it, I'm okay with this. But the second that they give me no other option, that's when we're going to have a problem. I'm sure we've all played an RPG at some point, or an action game, where it just feels like no matter what you do, it gets countered and countered hard.
Yeah, could you imagine this kind of AI behavior in Helldivers 2?
Oh, gosh. I had to lean back in my chair for that one.
But yeah, and currently, we have Unity ML agents and GPT dialogue integration for smarter and more human-like interaction that's happening right now.
Talking about those projects, we kind of mentioned NVIDIA a bit, but there's Keiki. It's a GAN-generated bullet hell. It's a GAN generation that creates bullet hell attack patterns for more challenging gameplay. There's also platform level generation, for instance. GANs can learn from human maps. Someone, for instance, let's take, you're going to hear me say things like Doom mapping a lot. It's just, my background. But for instance, take a Doom map and then use those maps that people have created, community-wide to create your own stuff. There's actually a program that does something similar to this already. So taking that idea is not far-fetched at all. It already exists. If you've ever heard of oh shoot, there's an automated map tool. I can remember that, but anyway, you give it a set of parameters, it generates the maps for you, and it can generate entire episodes, for instance. Now, an AI could do this much faster on a much larger scale and probably create a whole lot more interesting content because it has access to more data points. You also have bootstrapping conditional GANs for platformer games. You can have a situation where exploring level generation can be matched to the human design content that's already available.
And, Whether we like it or not, the gaming industry is affected by mobile gaming as well. I mean, cue the infamous Blizzard Diablo team quote, "Don't you have phones?"
No, I live in a hole, in a cave.
Even low-tier mobile games like Lily's Garden make use of generative design to keep players hooked. We already have this happening with mobile games, and as much as we hate to admit it, does impact the video gaming market in ways we'd prefer it not to.
You can say that again.
So AI isn't just helping build games, it's starting to think about how we play them. But here's the real question. AI sounds great and all, but how's the industry going to handle next-gen tech when half of their games still launch unoptimized? We should break that down for next time.
Can't wait. That would be a juicy one.
Oh, yeah.
Taking the gloves off. I'm coming out swinging.
If this whole topic on AI even blew your mind just a little, please subscribe, drop your thoughts, and let us know, should your game learn from you, or should it just shut up and let you win? You are at all interested in some of the highlights and what's going on off podcast time, I push a lot of updates through my Ko-fi, however you like to pronounce it, ko-fi.com/Layla, LAELATV. We will catch you next time.
Take care.